Rob, thank you very much for joining me today on Real Feel Insights. I am super excited to kind of get to know you personally. You were a meteorologist.
Yeah, still am, yeah.
Still are?
Still have my hand in that a little bit.
Okay. So your face, you're the face of, people see your face a lot all the time. And, but what I would like to do today is maybe kind of put a person behind that face. You're also a politician. So we've got a lot to cover in a short amount of time. So let's just kind of dive into it. I sometimes will ask my guests if they're nervous. I have a feeling you're not nervous in the least.
No, this all feels very natural, very comfortable.
Yeah, another day in the office.
Another day in the office. It feels, feels right at home to be in front of a mic.
Okay, well, wonderful. So I can address you as Rob Kupec.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, that's what we'll do then. Rob, thank you again for joining me today. Let's maybe kind of go back to, I think we're going to go really far, childhood.
Okay.
Is that all right?
Sure,
okay,
yeah,
let's
absolutely.
Let's go all the way back to childhood. Siblings.
I have one.
Okay.
He's 13 years younger than me, so there's a huge age gap between the two of us.
Okay.
So a lot of it, in a lot of ways, I was an only child, kind of brought up, for 13 years.
Right, yeah. So then it's like, well, what do I do with this thing? This little brother.
I think my parents waited. Oh, we have a built-in babysitter now. Let's have another kid.
Okay. Do you feel that a little bit?
No, I don't think that's really why.
Okay.
But yeah.
Okay. Farm kid, country, city?
So I grew up in Connecticut.
Okay.
And I think people always have an image of what Connecticut is, and where I grew up I don't think matches that image.
What image do you think people have in
I think a lot of people think about suburbs of New York City, the wealthier part of Connecticut. There was a lot of wealth in parts of Connecticut.
Yes.
And I was in the far eastern part, kind of in an old mill town area, old colonial village type setting. And so much more rural, I think, than people would imagine Connecticut to be.
So not a farm kid.
Not a farm kid. No, it was a 1970s kind of housing development on some land that had been a farm. An acre and a quarter ranch house, very typical 1970s looking house.
Yeah. What'd your dad do?
My dad started out as a teacher.
Okay.
And then realized he could make more money if he went to work for the Department of Corrections, which is what my grandfather had done. So he went and worked in corrections for his whole life after that.
Wow, that was a change.
A little bit of a change, yes.
So he went to school to be an educator.
Yes.
And then was it just something he didn't like, so he changed, or was
I
there
think
something
it was really the money thing. I think my parents were like, how could we
generate more revenue?
How could we generate more revenue? And I think his father probably said, hey, working for the state as a corrections officer, there's good benefits, there's decent pay.
Okay.
And then turns out my father jumped in and absolutely loved corrections. And then he went back, got his master's in criminal justice, and then eventually worked his way up to a deputy commissioner. So yeah.
Really? That's very interesting. Because sometimes people get stuck because they just, I'm a teacher and I don't really like it, or whatever occupation they're in and they don't like it. And they stay there because they can't step outside of, or dream or think of.
Yeah. And I think he found his niche. He was kind of the problem solver guy. Like when there was something like we're going to send you here.
Okay.
Because there's a problem and you go fix it.
Okay. So you said your his grandfather or your grandfather?
My grandfather.
Okay.
Yes.
So his dad.
Yes, his dad
was in it. Okay.
Yes, his dad also worked as a corrections officer.
Well, then he just had that encouragement. Yes, yes.
Sure.
You'll do fine. Look for this. Don't do this, or a few different things. So he had that door open to him a little bit from his own dad.
Yeah.
Your mom.
My mom also was a teacher.
Okay.
And then when my brother came along, she left teaching.
Okay.
And then she went and ran a soup kitchen after that for a number of years.
Okay.
So.
Well, that's a change.
Yeah, a little bit of a change, but that's that I think it's a really good job for my mom.
Okay.
She's that kind of caring person, looking out for a lot of people, and
that's where it came from.
That's where it came from, and I think she was a perfect fit for that job.
Okay.
She did a really good job at that.
Okay. Wow. So your upbringing had service in it, education in it. Corrections in it.
And and my parents were my dad, when I was, not that I remember this, but when I was really young, he was pretty active in a U.S. Senate campaign, working for a candidate in the very early 1970s.
Okay.
And so they were always, we talked a lot of politics in the family.
You grew up sitting at the table, listening to mom, dad, grandpa,
Yep.
friends. Okay.
And my dad was also really involved with the teachers union, and then when he went to corrections, he was also really involved with the corrections union.
Okay. Is he always trying to correct something, or like look if there's a problem he wants to help it or correct it?
I think he saw, and I think that came up from his parents. I think he saw union membership in unions as a way to help workers advance, to have a better lifestyle, to have a better income, and I think he saw that as a way for people to advance.
So the seed was probably planted with you many years ago.
I definitely think so.
Okay, originated
Yes.
there. So we are now, let's see, you're 13, so you just have this new little bundle of a brother joy added. I bet that was a big change for you. From
was.
an only child. I mean, that was kind of a...
It was a big change, and we have a good relationship, but we were only really living together for 5 years because then I went to college.
Okay.
After that, so I think so we have. Then there are things, and then our parents got divorced later on, and so I think I have different views of our parental relationship than he does, and then he had a very different upbringing because then he had parents who had divorced, and that was not the experience that I had. So
wow.
Yeah.
I'm going to dig into that because if we like it or not, having divorced parents affects us. It really does. Now, your younger brother, like you said, he has a different way of looking at his parents than you do.
Right.
Since we're on that subject, how old were you when your parents got divorced?
I was in college, yeah.
Okay, so you were out of the house. Okay. Did they both end up ever remarrying?
They both did remarry, yes.
Okay. When you look back on your childhood, was there anything that you look back on that was kind of a pivotal memory of yours?
The part of it where I got interested in meteorology is like a super pivotal memory because we did weather in like second grade.
Wow, that young?
That young, and then I you did it was like a unit for a month, right? You made the little diary and you recorded, and then when the month ended, I'm like, I'm just going to kind of keep doing this because I think this will be really interesting in a year from now to look back and go, oh, do you know what today it was?
Yes.
And then the next year, we had a tremendous blizzard.
Okay. In Connecticut.
In Connecticut.
And you're what, third grade now?
Third grade,
So
exactly.
You remember this.
1978.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Yep. And it was not, it was supposed to snow that day, and we were in school, and then it was like, it's kind of bad. We're going to send everybody home.
Okay.
And then the storm just blew up, and nobody saw it coming, and we were out of school for a week, and you couldn't get off our road. There was so much snow, and it was like just I think, an impactful thing in your mind. And so part of me was like, how did nobody see this coming? This is crazy.
That is unbelievable at that young age.
Yep. And so that's when I decided, I'm really interested in this.
Wow.
And
Okay. So really, literally,
Yep.
What are you in third grade? 9?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, sure.
9 years
going
old?
on 10. Yeah,
Going
sure.
on 10.
Yep.
That's about when you knew.
Yes.
And from that moment on, you were always going to.
Yes.
You were so interested in. Did people tell you about that? Did your teachers did they catch it that you were really intrigued with the weather?
I think certainly about middle school and high school they did.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Okay.
yeah, for sure.
So you knew.
But my mom did too. She took a map of the United States and laminated it and put it up on the wall in my room, and I could take a dry erase marker and make a weather map, and
wow.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
So she encouraged it.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's unique.
It is. The weird thing is my son also at a very young age decided the career path he wanted to take, so it kind of seems to run in the family.
Okay.
My son is an aerospace engineer and got interested in rockets in about third grade too.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. Well,
So-
there's some gene there
Yeah, there's-
that you guys
yes.
get intrigued.
Right.
Which is kind of really nice because sometimes, we're at 18, 20, people say, oh, what are you going to do? And they're like, I have no idea. And even at 40, there's
Sure.
people that have completely, well, your dad completely switched
Yep.
it, So, we might have our, we think we have our vision, but you really did know that was what you just loved
I'm
it
definitely an oddity in that respect. I realize that.
Yeah, well, I don't know if it's an oddity. I think it's just really super cool,
Mm-hmm.
that you had that vision or just a dream and a drive, and then you pursued that. You knew that that's something that really intrigued you. So super cool. So that's how you got into being a meteorologist.
Yes.
Okay. Are you a good meteorologist?
I think so. I like to think I am.
Yeah.
I'm super competitive as a meteorologist.
You are.
I'm really competitive and really competitive with myself. I mean, the nice thing is you're always up against, you're up against Mother Nature, and so
sure.
it's like you're always playing. I view it very much as a game. Like I keep track of what I forecasted,
Okay.
and go back and we look, and then
Yeah.
how did I'm off here? Why am I off here?
Okay.
I'm going to tweak this tomorrow
Right.
to be not off. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. So you're competing against something that it's like you want to beat it,
Right.
beat the
Right.
weather.
I just want it to
Okay.
be what I said is what I want it to
Okay.
be.
Okay.
And I take it really seriously.
Okay.
And
What do you do when people or you hear somebody say, yeah, the weatherman, they're just, the biggest guessers.
right.
And-
Or, it's nice you can be wrong half the time and get paid.
Oh, that would hurt.
It is like slightly offensive because I look at,
Yeah.
sure. Are there days where you have a complete bust? Yeah, sure. That happens.
It happens.
And those are big learning moments
yeah.
to go back and okay, what went wrong here?
Okay.
But I knew because I kept really good track of it that I was, if I was not within 2 degrees of the high, I was really mad. Like that's my goal. I want to be
sure. You
that
let
close.
yourself. You
Yeah.
let yourself down.
Yeah,
Okay.
why? Okay, why? If I'm within
Okay.
2, I'm
Right.
okay. I'm good. And
Okay.
then
Yeah.
and I think the average person would be fine whether you're you're within 5 or so. You're probably okay.
Okay.
But yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. Well, I'm glad you said it because, there'll be people like, well, how could they be that far off? My gosh. And they're getting paid. So,
Right,
but
and
then
and I gotta say that some of it is, and it really the part where I would really get frustrated is when I would make a really good forecast and somebody else maybe in town did not make a really good forecast.
Okay.
And people would say you would call and complain, and I'm like, that wasn't my forecast. You all get to do the same. You just like, no, I do not.
Okay,
We all do our
sure.
own
Yeah,
forecast.
yeah.
And I won today, and I
Yeah.
beat them. And
Yeah,
so do
okay.
not blame me that you watched the wrong channel
Right.
last night.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much for pointing that out. That's your very own personal perspective from your point of view. And you're very proud of what you
Yeah,
do.
it is. It is a job. It is a career, and that people are relying on you. So you take it. You do take it very seriously.
Right.
At least I did.
Right.
And
Well, schools base their opinion on what you're saying. They're not their opinion. They base their decisions
Sure.
on what you're going to be
Right.
saying and what you're predicting.
Yes.
So we all are businesses.
Right,
Kind
yeah.
of we okay. So July 4th we're going to have thunderstorms coming through. We might have to shift from. I own a meat market, so it might not be the grilling part of it. Maybe we've got to think of a different approach. So
Sure. and it's particularly more pronounced when you live in an agricultural area because then the average person, there's an inconvenience factor. If you are in agriculture, there is a profit factor. Like
Correct.
if you decide to harvest the wrong day because of the weather, it has a huge impact on your financial bottom line, and so
Exactly.
it does feel a little bit more pressure because you're like, oh, this isn't just somebody's inconvenience, their weekend plans. There's money riding on the line on
Yeah,
this.
thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Very interesting perspective, strictly and only from your position. There's a lot of pressure on you for that. Yeah. If you can, Rob, I know this is a very big, broad question, but if you can, what is it and how do you predict Mother Nature?
Sure. So you look at there are computer models that are run, different government agencies all around the world. You look at those computer models. Some of what I feel like my job is knowing which computer model does a better job in this situation, and so you're kind of always looking at them, grading them. And then what I like to do is I like to, particularly like the temperature part, look above the surface at a couple of thousand feet up and take that, and there's a mathematical formula, and I've got a little laminated chart, and I magically come up, using science, come up with a number of what I think the high temperature
Wow.
should be. So
There's a lot behind.
right. So a lot of it is just knowing, which
Sure.
computer model, like, like a storm coming out of the southwest in the winter, you're like European computer model better than American computer model. So some of it is just that knowledge.
Interesting. You're an extremely intelligent in many areas type of a person.
So, I take my profession pretty seriously in
yeah.
the weather department.
Wow. Yeah. Interesting. Well, we all love it. We all have to deal with the weather, I mean, every day it's something different, and especially in the state of both where you and I reside, in the state of Minnesota.
In the upper Midwest,
Yes.
I feel like this is the world championship of weather.
Really?
Because you have snowstorms and you have, thunderstorms, severe weather in the summer. It's really hot, it's really
Yes.
cold. Arctic air is crazy hard to forecast
Okay,
and predict.
sure.
So,
Yeah.
it's really interesting.
Yeah. So, Real Feel Insights is the podcast that, we have here. And Real Feel comes from the real feel temperature. So Real Feel Insights is just the real feel insight of whoever my guest is. So there's a little bit of weather that I have.
I like that. That's good.
I just had to throw that little bit in there. Okay, so we are now college. You know exactly what you want to do. You're a meteorologist. How long does it take?
I just a 4-year degree. It's a Bachelor of Science degree.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you're from Connecticut. How did you end up in this upper Midwest? I mean, northern part of upper Midwest.
Sure. So I leave Connecticut. I go to college in Albany, New York.
Okay.
That's where it's one of my high school teachers kind of directed me. In terms of, I always thought I wanted to do television. It was probably a poor choice of a college to do television.
Oh, okay.
They didn't have like a TV meteorology program. I did an internship at a TV station. That's how I got my TV experience. So graduated from there. But before I've graduated, I met somebody who turned out to eventually become my wife. And then she was going on for her PhD in Albany.
Okay.
And so Albany, not a great market for breaking into television.
But you found your partner there.
I did find my partner there, but
Found your wife.
For the next 8 to 10 years, I was a route salesman for a coffee company. And then I actually had my own coffee company for about 5 or 6 years.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
It was a summer job posting when I was in college.
Okay.
They were like, fill in route salesman. I'm like, that sounds like fun. I get to drive around in a van and deliver coffee, and I love driving. This will be great.
Sure.
So I did that, and then I worked for them for a while, and then an opportunity came to get my own business, and I did that. Then 2000, my wife goes on the job market. In academia, you kind of have to cast a wide net. And so, we said the Midwest we don't want to go to the West Coast, but the Midwest will be our stopping point for where we
Venturing a little
venture
further
west.
west.
And so we came to the Midwest. She got a job. She had 2 job offers. She had one in the Midwest and another one in New Jersey. And the pay was really similar. The cost of living in New Jersey was crazy high. It would have kept us closer to family, but it was also people were commuting like 2 hours each way to work.
Okay.
And we're like, that's just lost,
So it was job.
It was job. So it was
that
my wife's job.
Okay.
And so we moved out here, and our son was 2 years old at the time, and I was stay-at-home dad for a couple of years, which was awesome. I have a really great relationship with my son, I think, because I had that ability to do that.
Yeah.
And then, eventually my son goes to school and my wife goes, maybe you ought to get a job.
Sure.
And I said, yeah, I'm going to be a meteorologist. And she went, really? Because you've never really done that as a job.
Okay.
And I said, I've got a plan. So I took a couple of television production classes.
Okay.
And that kind of opened the door to meet some people.
Wow.
And kind of got in with one of the local TV stations. And
How old are you at this time?
let's see. So at this time, I'm in my early 30s.
Early 30s.
Yeah.
So married, you job transfer for your wife, sent you here to the to upper Midwest. You have a child, and now you're getting into what you really wanted to all of your life, into
Right.
meteorologist.
Right.
Okay.
So it took a little extra time to get
Okay.
there, but
Yeah.
I was really good at route salesman for a coffee company
Okay.
too. I really loved that job.
Wow.
I really,
Salesman.
really
Okay.
loved that
Yeah,
job.
talking.
You know what it was?
Communicating.
It was the thing I found was all you had to do was show up when you said you were going to show up,
Okay.
do what you said you were going to do, and then, hopefully have a good price. And that's how and the competition was just woefully inadequate. And it was
Okay.
like shooting fish in a barrel. It was like I was
Okay.
really good at getting new accounts.
Yeah.
I just did really
You're
well
good at it. You're a good salesman.
I don't know. I guess I don't know.
Okay.
It's like amazing. Like all you have to do is do what you said you were going to do, and that's
Well,
it.
okay. Okay.
Some of that maybe translates to politics too. Just
Right.
say what you're going to
Yeah.
do and then do it.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah. Well, my mind is
Right.
we're getting there. Yeah. We're
Right.
getting there.
I've never really made that connection till just now.
Sure.
So
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I
Yeah.
think life has a way of leading us in directions. Sometimes, it's a hard no. Then it's never a straight line. It really isn't. So, maybe that just exposed you to people and communicating, and you learn a lot of stuff about people. Then you put that aside, and then now you're applying it.
yeah.
Yeah, sure. So you just never know.
Right.
I just always think that young kids and young adults, I suppose I should say, and these doors close for a reason because, they lead us
Yes.
into different directions. Or, my gosh, 20 years ago I did a stint, for 2 years or 3 years or whatever it was, and that I took a lot from that. Meant really nothing, but I learned a lot, and now I'm way over here doing something.
Yeah, it is.
So-
And there's always weird things like back in your past, like things that you pull out, like, oh yeah, I didn't think I was ever going to, there it is. There's a
Right.
little nugget of information
Yeah.
I picked up. I'm like,
Right.
oh, now I'm going to
Yeah.
apply that here.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. And I think sometimes, when we talk about older people and the wisdom that they have, that's why they have it. Mm-hmm. And I think sometimes we don't really, our culture does not respect, I think, the elderly sometimes from that perspective.
I think as a culture, a lot of times we do really poorly on both ends of life, the new coming into the world and the end going out. We could do better at both of those
right.
things.
Yeah, interesting. So we are now, you got the job, that's your dream, would you consider it your dream job, a meteorologist? Is that
Yes.
what you,
Yeah,
okay.
I would think so. Yeah,
Okay.
started out, the first one was, first I was the fill-in, and then I was the weekend, and doing some reporting, to balance out the days. And then I got the job at a different station across town as the chief meteorologist. And that was kind of like, that is kind of my dream job.
That was the dream job.
That was the dream job.
Okay.
Yep.
And you said you were good at it, or you felt you were good
I
at
felt
it?
I was, yeah,
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
People, I think everybody has their person they pick out on
Sure,
TV that they
yeah.
like, but I think I delivered things in a
Okay.
relatable way and, took my craft pretty seriously, so.
Yeah, that's super cool how that all turned out.
It
And
really is.
Yeah.
And I think, coming to the Midwest opened that door too. So I think
okay.
it's funny, we came from my wife's job, but it opened the door for me too.
so you are now chief meteorologist. You're in your dream job, doing the father thing. You have one child.
Yes.
No more.
Nope, that's
no
it.
more.
Just, yep.
That was it. And wife, doctor. We're really happy and content here.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
All right.
Everything's rolling along
Rolling along
smashingly well.
smashingly well. Okay. Both happy.
Yes.
Raising the child. And did you now we're going to shift a little bit and we're going to get into politics.
Sure.
Literally. your
Literally,
life.
yes,
Okay.
yes.
All right. So what happens here that you're happy, you're smashingly good in your words and happy, but is there something that's like gnawing on you or like knocking on your door that's...
So a couple of things. So obviously, politics always kind of in the background. Being on television, limits you certainly what you can do in politics. I just think I just felt like I did not like the kind of meanness that our politics was taking, and this very, very kind of partisanshipness. And I'm like, and I thought, you know what? If you could see it here and you could complain about things, or you could do something about it. And I think it's really important in this moment that people who can step up and step into one of these roles, because I think, unfortunately, I think the way our political system is right now, I think there's a lot of good people that are just going to go, I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to be any part of that. I mean, I even see right now there are colleagues of mine who are really good at their job, and they're just like, you know what? It's time to hang it up. I'm done.
In politics.
In politics,
Okay.
and I don't want to do that. So I'm, at the TV station, dream job. TV station goes up for sale, and I think if the TV station had not gone up for sale, I would not have ventured into politics.
Okay.
But, family run TV station, and I'm like, I don't want to necessarily work for one of these big corporate national TV
okay.
things. I mean, the thing I love about this, they gave me a lot of latitude to try things out
Okay.
and do things. I mean,
Okay.
I had this little segment, it was called Town of the Week.
Okay.
That was my idea, and they're like, sure, give it a try. And it
Right.
turned out to be like, it drove like more people to our website than anything that had ever done
Sure.
at that TV
Yep.
station, and was
Yep.
super popular. And all it was like, you took two little towns, roughly same population size, put
Okay.
them up, vote, whoever wins, 2.5, 3 minutes about that little town.
Interesting.
And and a lot of people in a lot of small towns, the media pays no attention to them unless there's a murder, fire, or a natural
Right.
disaster.
Okay.
And you know what? For 2.5 minutes, we're going to talk about some little town.
And on the positive
On a
note.
positive side, here's
Sure.
the history of the town.
Right.
How did that
Yeah.
town get its name? How
Yeah.
did it do this?
Yeah.
And,
Wow. Yep.
and what's
Yep.
the big industry in town? Here's a couple of old pictures.
Sure.
Look at this.
Okay.
And
So when it was
people loved it.
So when it was family run, you felt like you had some liberties and you could run with them.
Right.
And you just, it was a sense of belonging.
Right.
is
Yeah,
what
it
you
was.
probably
It really
felt.
was. And
Yeah.
so then TV stations up for sale. The state senator at the time, who previously had my position, decided very late to not run for reelection.
Okay.
And people were like, "Oh, who are we going to get?" And nobody was really stepping up to run. And they're like, "Hey, what about Rob? He's noodled around the edges a little in politics. He has name recognition, certainly."
Seriously, that's all it was, is because he didn't run
Yeah.
way late and they were scrambling.
Yeah. If
trying
somebody
to-
else said, "Yeah, right, yeah," I got asked. I had no intention of
Okay.
this was not part of my master plan.
Okay, but let's just kind of
Sure.
halt a little bit here. You had a little history though with your dad and your parents, kind of like checking
did.
into it a little bit. The union, teachers union back
Right.
in your home state.
And I will add, when I was in college, I worked on this environmental group. I did a lot of work on recycling. That's actually where I met my wife.
Okay.
Was in this environmental
Okay.
group. So we had
Sure.
some,
Right.
work on
Okay.
issues
Okay.
like that in the past.
And then, like you said, when you were on the TV, you had to be aware of not only like local things that were going on, politics. You also had to be on the world stage too, of kind of understanding and knowing.
Sure.
Is that fair to say?
It is.
Okay.
And I went to like some county conventions for the political party.
Okay.
And so
Okay.
I did that. So that's how people in the party knew, like, oh,
Sure.
Okay. So he has an interest.
Okay. So we have an interest, and then we have a public figure, face, name,
Right.
and
so
you were asked,
they were asked, yes.
and you were like, what?
And I said, this is either a door opening and I'm going to move in a new direction. And I'm like, I don't want to go through the sale of the TV station.
Okay.
So I'm like, I will run. If I lose, I will find another job. And then turns out, before I even got to the election part, I got another job as a meteorologist. So I'm still doing some work as a meteorologist.
Okay.
Yes.
Well,
yeah.
yeah. Well, you have the knowledge.
Right.
you
It's
know,
for
I
a
mean-
crop insurance company, and
Okay.
so it's a little bit different forecasting.
Interesting. Okay.
It's looking at,
Okay.
more for the next year,
Sure.
and trying to,
Okay. Right.
read the tea leaves about, which policies may be better to buy. So,
Sure. Little projection.
right.
Weather projection.
Weather projection.
A little
yeah.
bit.
It's a way out. It's,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
a little less sciencey than like, what's it going to be tomorrow?
Yeah.
So it's,
Well, you can be wrong.
yeah, you're going to be, the further out you go,
Right,
the
right.
more likely
Yeah.
that you're going to be wrong.
Okay.
So
Okay. All right. All right. So you won.
I did, yes, and then I won. So
Okay. I'm going to ask you a little bit, like very, very personally. Okay, I think of running for politics and I think of like the way that I could be, I have my system or my belief, but I mean, nobody would know it because I'm not vocal about that. That's just the way I am. But now you have to, every stance that you're asked, you have to be publicly say how you feel about that. You're not going to make people happy from, both sides often. This is what I would think, and I give so much credit to politicians that do this. How do you handle knowing that you are putting your neck on, literally, I mean, maybe not literally, okay, fine, but like on the butcher block to be attacked, really ridiculed. I mean, did you literally, how do you feel when you make a decision right at that spot, sitting at your dining room table, personally, and you alone? How do you make that decision and that step to say, yeah, you know what, I'm going to handle that because I want to do it?
Yeah, I think, first, you might be surprised of how many critical things you get about things when you're in the media.
Okay.
I will say it's also like a million times worse for women who are in the media. I mean, if they change their dress or their hairstyle one day, the amount of emails and criticism that comes in. So it's easier on guys for sure.
Okay.
But there are people, they are just hypercritical about everything. So you're it's amped up a few more degrees in politics.
Correct.
But,
right.
I think I knew it was coming. I think the important thing is to make sure you're listening to people, even if they have a totally different opinion than you have. And I think sometimes people just want to be heard. And they're like, yeah, Rob, does not agree with me, and I don't agree with him. But, we had a good conversation about it. He heard me out. I listened to him. We left on okay terms. And I think that's a big part of it.
That's a huge part. That is not only in politics, but I mean, just, neighbors, business, friends.
I feel, and I worry as a society that we're losing some of that. It's much more easy to be like in our own little bubbles all the time, and in everything we do. And it used to be you'd have to come together with your neighbors about other things, and maybe we don't agree about how, but we have these other common interests.
Sure.
That I think are more important. So I try to bring that with me to politics.
Yeah. Has that worked for you?
For the most part, I think there are people that are just they're partisan. As soon as you put a D or an R next to your name, they've written you off forever. But I still think there's still a fair amount of people that are open to let's see the job you're going to do. What are you doing? Are you looking out for our interests here in our part of the state?
Interesting. There was one thing it really caught my attention, and I think that is one of the key problems, and it's a D or an R behind your name. Both sides. And then you just close it off.
It is. It absolutely is. That is.
Wow.
Yeah, that is absolutely, because there are. Yeah, as soon as you do that, like I won't even.
Both sides.
Both sides, absolutely.
Responsible for that, and that is
the partisanship extreme on both sides is not good, and that's also like part of the thing. I will say that the people that had held this office before me, I thought they were really good at just trying to represent the part of the state we live in. And I felt like I wanted to carry on that tradition. I think we'd had a long succession of those people. And I'm like, I would really, like to see that keep going.
Okay. Yeah. It's really interesting. And I think what the purpose I called you and asked you to come on here is because we need to hear how you really operate, how you really feel, because sometimes it can come across just because you're at one party or another party. Oh, that's, black and white. You're not, is what I think I'm hearing you say, is you're not like that.
No, I think, and that may anger some people, maybe with even in my own party, that you're not partisan enough. And I had one of the highest scores of bipartisanship bills, people from the opposite party on my bills last session. And I'm really proud of that. And that was the every time I had a bill, I'm like, I'm going to go, who can I get from the other party that would want to be on this bill? And sometimes there's not that person, and that's fine if you still think it's important. But every time I did that, I'm like, I'm going to go find that person. And every time somebody came to me from the other party, I'm like, what's the bill? Let's look at this. Oh, I agree. This is something.
It's the approach.
It's the approach. And a lot of times it's things that are regional, things that are good for our area. And then I'm happy to jump on, with whoever it is.
So how long have you been in politics?
This is my first term, so I ran in 2022, so
Okay.
I'll be up again next year for re-election. So
Are you happy you did it?
I am happy I did it. It's been, some of it I think back to like when I was a TV reporter. The thing I liked about TV reporting is every day it was like a new assignment, and so you had to go out and learn about something somebody new that day. And some of that is the same way in politics. Every day something new comes before your committee, or there's a new bill, and you've got to, read up and you learn things. And I'm always fascinated to learn more information, go out and, find out things about the state and the region that I didn't know.
So always learning.
It is always learning.
Is that what drives you?
I think so. I think that's it. And it's also, it's also those moments where you find, sometimes it's some of the things we do are, they're kind of big and overarching, and then you find, you have a piece of legislation, and then you have some person on the street who will actually stop you and say, I want to thank you for this bill. Here's
Okay.
what it meant to me. And that feels really rewarding that, that somebody...
You impacted somebody.
Yeah, and sometimes, and it's always, sometimes it's a really wonky bill, and you're like, who is really paying attention to this? Somebody was paying attention to this, and meant something to somebody.
So you're making a difference.
It is, yeah, and there's been several times that's happened, and that feels really good. Like I did that and helped somebody out.
What's your title?
For
What position do you hold?
I'm state senator.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you are impactful. You make decisions.
We do.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a bunch of us, and then sometimes can be also annoying. Like, you said you were going to do this, and I'm like, well, I tried to do this, but I couldn't find enough other people to come along with me to do that. I'm one person of many.
Well, I think that's like anything.
Right.
I mean, bring it down to just a small. Let's just do husband and wife.
Yeah.
Let's go bring it down to that level. I mean, your wife wants it or your husband wants it, and you're going to have to figure out a medium in there someplace.
Then throw in some kids too, and suddenly, it's like as a family, yes.
So,
you have to make those same decisions.
Exactly,
Right.
and handle it the same way. Love, respect. If you're going to start slamming doors and, it's my way or the highway, it's not going to work. So listening, appreciating the other person, and just you're doing it for service. I mean, you're a public servant. So what can I do? What can I do to make our world better? Obviously you have some serious, really good qualities. Listening, I think, was the biggest one that I took away from our conversation. And that level of respect of like everybody has a voice. We all want to be heard, no matter what we do for a living or, where we're at in life, age, demographic as well. We just want to be heard.
Yep.
So I think sometimes, you've expressed that. I mean, you said that. That's what you work really hard on doing. And sometimes even your own party or, you might make somebody unhappy, but you feel like you're still a service and you want for the better good, of your area.
Right. I like to
love
think
that.
so. Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. So you're happy that
I am. Yes,
Yep.
for the most part.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there one thing in there that you're like, I mean, I'm a politician. What in the world did I get myself into? Has there ever been a situation like that, or you come home and you're like, oh, this is not what I signed up for? Do you ever get those moments?
Yeah, I think there are those moments in every job and in every portion of your life where there's, it's funny, the part of the job I really like the least is the politics part.
So you're a politician, and the politics are the part you don't
Right.
like the
I mean,
most.
it is right.
You can't get any more honest than that.
Right.
Now, come
There
on.
are those. There are those times where I'm like, this is, can we just go and do the jobs and work on the legislation and make it as good as we can? But it's all the, when they people try to put in little gotcha things and like just to move the political needle one way or the other. And it's like, I realize it comes with the territory. But it's the part of it I really like the least.
Well, understandably. Understandably. I mean, and I think too, the reason why I did want to have you come on is you're just a regular person. You're a husband, you're a father, you have a other career, that nothing to do with politics, and you have feelings.
Yeah, I do. And that's, and this is a debate sometimes that goes on about, because there's so much to do. Should the legislature be a full-time legislature? And I see sometimes the advantage of that, but I also really think it's important that you have something outside of the legislature, maybe that you still do as a job, but it also kind of grounds you,
Sure.
brings you back, have that interaction. Otherwise, if you're in the Capitol all the time, you really get into some kind of a bubble. And I think that those months where you can go away and do the other job. Sometimes it's the idea that it is part-time is fictitious, because I spend a lot of time still on my Senate job. And my other job is my employer's so gracious
To work with you.
to work with me on how this works.
Yeah.
I think it would have been a lot better for him if I had lost the election, but he was very supportive. So, that sometimes that balance, and then, work-life balance, and, trying to, that sometimes gets a little tricky, but.
Are you ever, like, your position, do you ever get lonely? Like, sometimes people are like, well, I can't talk to him, or he, or it's not that you're unapproachable, but, sometimes your position, people think that they can't maybe be friends with you or connect with you or just sit and have a beer with you or a coffee with you or something. Does that part of it ever get a little bit lonely?
I think some people have a perception of that, and hopefully I knock that down pretty quick if they run into me. Out and about, that we are just people, and I think sometimes people are like, oh, you're just, we are. The part of it that is lonely is, I represent an area that's far away from the Capitol. And so those times when we're in session, I'm down at the Capitol and, at night you're like, you don't have, your wife's not there. And it's like at night you're like, it'd be nice to have, just somebody to come home with and go, I won't believe what happened today. You can do it on the phone, obviously, and there's that. But it is, you are, I talk to myself a lot. And it's a long drive back and forth from here to the Capitol where I live. And there's a lot of time in the car. So you can process things. You can process things, but it is also, and thank goodness for podcasts that I can listen to in the car. That keep your mind kind of, going and stimulated. And, and sometimes you listen to policy ones, and sometimes you're just like, I just need something that's funny to listen to tonight. And that's a kind of a stress
lighthearted.
Lighthearted, just something.
The politics back in. Back at the Capitol. I may have asked you this already, but I want to make sure that I really want your take on this. Are you making a difference?
I think so. I like to think I am. I mean, I can think of, there are specific pieces of legislation that, that people have come to me, and I'll give you one example about, and this was kind of the first one that I really felt. So hearing aids, in our state, hearing aids were not covered by insurance after the age of 18. And when I was out campaigning, I met this family, and they're like, our daughter's 18, she's about to go to college, she cannot function without a hearing aid, and we don't know what we're going to do. And I'm like, well, what do you mean hearing aids aren't covered until you're 18? So I drafted a bill, because, you can be on your parents' insurance till you're 26. And I'm like, well, you should at least get hearing aids then through 26, right? And so I drafted a bill, and then turns out somebody else had a bill that's like, no, we're going to make hearing aids, insurance has to cover hearing aids. And so that ended up being the bill. And then, when it passed, I called them and said, I just want you to know. And I mean, it was that moment of in that person's
Yeah,
life
yeah.
was such a huge difference. That
Yeah.
felt really good.
Yeah, you made an impact.
Yep. So
So, some viewer is listening to you, young, male, female, 18 years old, 25, whatever, and they're really interested in it. They know that they would have the character to do it, they have the drive to do it, they're excited about it, to get into politics. What would you tell them?
find a candidate that kind of matches up with what your thoughts and values are, and volunteer for them, or run yourself. We have a couple of state senators in their 20s. I mean, and they are like just crazy, amazing people to be state senators in their 20s.
Okay.
I am always like, wow, you are.
Yeah.
I don't know that I was that with it in my 20s that I could have been
Yeah.
a state senator,
Right.
but they are really with it.
Wow.
And bring a really good and fresh perspective to things. So yeah, I think that, and I think I was in middle school. I think I went down to like somebody was running for Congress, and I think I stuffed envelopes one day for them.
Okay.
Like,
All right.
so I mean, you can start at any age too.
Okay. And at any level.
At
Entry
any level, and those are all important jobs, and you're part of that, process. But
Okay.
find somebody whose values line up, and
Okay.
or, you know what, just reach out. And like if anybody, somebody contacted me and said, "Hey, I'd like to just have sit down for a coffee with you and ask you about these things."
Sure.
I'm like, that sounds great. Let's go. Let's
Yep.
meet. What do
Okay.
you want to know?
Okay. So you're just throwing your hat out there saying,
Yeah,
yep,
sure.
I'm available.
And I learn things from those meetings. They hopefully learn something about how politics works, and it's not. People shouldn't be so scared off of it.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. I personally, there's things that I do that many people would be like, I can't do that, don't want to do that. But politics is one thing I do not want to do. And I don't know what it is. It's just like, I don't know. It's just maybe my knowledge. Truthfully, it's probably my knowledge. I just don't have the knowledge, I don't think, to get into it. The other thing is just all the back and forth. I just don't know if I would have the composure or the ability to. I mean, I listen. I can listen, but I just don't know.
but I will say, the other part is at the local level, where the politics are kind of come out, because a lot of those are just nonpartisan offices.
Okay.
And you can have the most impact on a township board.
Okay.
And they're always looking for people on township boards.
Okay, maybe just start at that.
City councils.
Okay.
I mean, you can have the lower you go down in government, the more, if you think about in your life, like what part of government do you interact with the most? Whatever's at the local level, your school board, your township board, your city council. Those are the people, that has the most impact on your life. It's
Right,
not, and
local.
the higher up you go to the federal level, we focus so much on the federal level,
Okay.
but they actually in some ways have the least impact on our lives. And it's
Wow.
those lower offices.
Wow.
And it's much more, it doesn't cost a lot of money to run for that office, and you can be super impactful in your community at a lower office. I guess when I always thought of this, I always thought I'd be run for like city council someday or something like that.
Okay.
And I never thought I'd run for like state senator.
Okay. So I want to go back to something that you had stated earlier. You said your local levels are actually more impactful than even the federal level of government.
Sure.
So township, county commissioners, I mean, these people are what's making your local decisions right for you.
and
locally.
especially, I mean, your local. If you're in a little city, then obviously, there's the sidewalk, the street in front of my house, the county road. The county is if you live out, in a rural area, the grader who comes along and takes care of, those gravel roads in your area. And the counties oversee, at least in the state, a lot of stuff. Social services overseen by the county, has a huge impact. And your property tax statement comes, and you're paying a large chunk to. Probably the county is one of the higher ones, in the along with the school district.
Okay.
So those decisions that they make there in terms of zoning, what's going to be built next to your property, is there a gravel pit that could possibly go in next to my house? All of those things really impact your life much more than the state, and far more than the federal government does.
Wow, interesting. That is very interesting for somebody that is thinking about it or looking, getting into politics. Just starting at your local level, understanding how the system works. You as a senator, I mean, you can make decisions locally in your area, but I
Right.
mean, even more so, commissioners, like school board, city council, things like that are more localized than even what you.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, okay. So that would be a stepping stone
Right,
for
and
somebody.
it's a much, if you're running for the state senate, you have a larger district. You're running for a township board,
Correct. Yeah.
you don't have to,
Interesting.
it's not a lot of campaigning. It's,
Yeah.
the job is maybe a little less demanding. County commissioners, I think they do that's a little bit bigger, and there's fewer of them. It's probably a little bit more demanding. So
Talk about campaigning. Are you gonna throw your hat in the ring again?
yeah,
You are.
I'm planning on running again. I've
Okay.
really enjoyed it. I think there's a
Okay.
few more things, I want to get done. I don't want to be one of those people that is in here forever.
Okay.
There is an end date. I would like to retire with
Okay.
my wife, and we like to travel, and
Sure.
a little dog by my side pulling the camper around sounds like a
Right.
really nice life.
Yeah.
But there's a few more things done. I love campaigning.
do.
I think it's because you're out talking to people one on one, and you know what, you're going to have a little notebook, and you're going to come back with ideas for new legislation from people that here's a problem I have, or you've thought about this, and so you get. It's a two-way street. You get, you get to tell them about here's what I did, what I'd like to do, and then they're like, you bring back, like, think about that woman with the hearing aid thing. I didn't know that was a thing. I have a limited knowledge
Right.
set, and when you go out and talk to people, you get a broader knowledge
Right.
set.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and your explanation here has been just kind of eye-opening for me too, because I think I've stated it, politics, it's just, I don't know. I think it's just because of the back and the forth. It's just, I don't even want to be a part of it. I don't want to, just, I know what I know. I need, and if I want to, I do my own, whatever I want to do and digging into it. But you have really opened my eyes into, the broadness of, what you have to personally do, in your approach at things. So thank you very much for sharing some of those, your personal thoughts and how you approach things. And I had said, I know we're going to be talking about, you're a politician. I wanted to talk to you about that, but we kept it, we didn't have to talk about politics. It's just, we're human beings living together in this world.
And I think on the local level too, that gets ignored. That's the thing, like whether a road should get repaved or not. That is probably not a real partisan issue.
Right.
There are ideas and thoughts
Yes.
about it, but that,
Yes.
I don't think it's going to matter whether you got a D or an R next to your name.
Yeah.
But like, do we have the money to do that? Is this the appropriate road?
Right.
Is there a better road
Yeah.
to repave?
Yeah.
Those are
Yeah.
all of those little community things at the local level. And if you want to be impactful and do that, we need good people to step up and take those
love
roles
that.
to make
Yeah.
society run.
Yeah,
We absolutely need that.
It's a great way to explain that. So thank you very much. Well, is there anything that you would like to add to this Real Feel Insight episode of Rob Kupec?
No, I mean, I don't. No, I've really enjoyed this. It is. I think. I will just add. If you are really interested, I think all levels of government try to make it as open as we can. If they're doing a good job, they really should be.
Okay.
And like at the state level, you can watch hearings, you can look at that. We try to bring in testimony. If you want to testify, if there's a bill, you can sign up to
Interesting.
testify on a bill. We want public input, and
Right.
we've made it so you can do it remotely. So if you live far away from the Capitol, you don't have to drive, all the way to the Capitol for your 2 minutes of testimony or whatever it may be. So we really, I think it's important to do that. So if you're wherever you are, your state, your town too, if your city has a, broadcast their city council meetings, just sit and watch, see what the people who are representing you are talking about or doing. So just to be more informed.
Very interesting. Thank you. Thank you, Rob, very much for joining me today. I've had a really good time just getting to know you on a different level. and understanding and learning the life that you know, from way back, you know, your parents and your, you know, little brother being 13, and then, you know, where life took you. Yes, you are a politician, but you are a regular person that has a regular life that just wants to be happy and make a difference in the world. So thank you for letting us join, you know, you on this little journey and getting to know your history of your life. Thank you very much for the service that you do for our community. Appreciate that. Not everybody can do that, so that, and I wish you well with whatever adventures you take and whatever doors open.
Sure, and thanks for the opportunity, because a lot of times people just want to talk about policy things or bills, and I think it's really important, I think especially in these times, that we know that, you know, the people that are representing you are just people, and always, you know, remember that before maybe you throw that barb out there at them. Sure, if it's about a policy thing, I hated the way you did that, but they are just people too.
Yeah.
So
Thank you. Thank you very much for being real on Real Feel Insights.
thanks.